to have Molly here. You know, as Patty mentioned, she's exhibited her work here at Sweet Tooth Hotel. She is a multidisciplinary fine artist with an eye for fiber. And so we're thankful to have her here to talk about our theme of thread and how materially and conceptually it ties, you know, through her life and through her work. So please give a warm applause, or a sweet applause, to Molly! Hi.
Hello.
All right, hold on a minute. Switch presentation. Okay. Here we go.
So at the very last minute, I decided to put together a presentation. I was gonna just wing it, which probably would have been pretty great, honestly. But yeah, I am gonna try to stick to the confines of my presentation.
I'll give you a 5-year list.
Okay, cool, yeah, because I do have a lot of ADHD, so. So my presentation is obviously on theme about Fred. And I'm Molly Sydnor. Again, multidisciplinary fine artist with an eye for fiber. I will go over an intro in a little bit, but here's a pretty good example of thread. This is many durations of several places that I've lived. I've brought my thread with me. I've done photo shoots with friends and photographers around DFW. And as far as my intro goes, here's just a little bit about my bio. I feel like it's a bit redundant to read it, so if you want to read it, you're more than welcome. If not, I can just tell you a little bit about myself.
Yeah.
I'm also going to go over stages of kind of my life so that you can kind of begin to understand how everything threads together. So beginning really early with art therapy, my heart condition, and then college. And so yeah, you can see where I've shown throughout the states. I've done residencies, group shows, solo shows, and at the end I'll share my most recent project that I have going that's going to be in Miami in December. So starting off with my intro to art therapy. My aunt was a graphic designer, and I kind of always grew up watching her, kind of wanting to be her. And so my parents put me in art classes, only to find out later that it was actually an art therapist. I'm not sure if I needed art therapy. To this day, it's still unknown. But I was in art therapy very, very early. I was my therapist's first child patient. Again, I thought I was just in art class, y'all. And my mom doesn't seem to remember why, so it is what it is. But yeah, so trigger warning for this next slide. If you get squeamy, there's a little bit of gore. But my heart condition, so I will go over this really fast to spare y'all. So I have a heart condition. I grew up playing sports. I was really athletic. I wanted to play basketball in college. I very easily could have played basketball. I probably could have also played volleyball, potentially, if the college was right, both. I'm not lying, y'all. I was really good. Yeah, so all of that kind of took a tumble when I developed a heart condition. I got in a car accident. That's when they discovered that I had the condition. I had a cardiac arrest. So I had to stop playing sports. That was like the one thing. Everything was all good. I have an unknown disorder. I have an extra heartbeat. It kind of throws everything off. It's a bit crazy. But I do have a pacemaker, and so it definitely called for some really angsty art in high school. So as you'll see there. And so we will move along to college. This is my favorite meme in the entire world. I have referenced this meme through every iteration of my life. But I did end up going to art school because I couldn't play sports. So while all my friends got to go to regular school and play sports, and they were all dogging on me for how amazing it is that I didn't have to take exams. This is what the art students were doing instead of taking exams. We were having meltdowns and crises because somehow our, end of year was always, or end of semester was always crazy and really testy. Humble brag moment of Amy Sherrill in the center. I don't know if y'all know Amy Sherrill. She's the painter who painted Michelle Obama's portrait. She's a friend of mine. She helped critique my senior thesis. So this is just kind of images from college. Fun fact, I did a lingerie line for my junior year fashion show. Didn't tell my parents. My mom had a panic attack in the audience, and my dad was cheering everybody on. So that's a little bit. My dad has a picture of me in lingerie in his desk because he's so proud and doesn't think it's weird. Kind of crazy. But yeah, that's some stuff from college. Here's some more stuff from college. Some throwback pictures. Some internships. That's Charm City Cakes that I interned at. I went to school in Baltimore. I went to the Maryland Institute College of Art. And then me as an artist today. So just a little bit, I will be going over just different processes. This is a film that I art directed, starred in. It was a performance piece, and I also made the outfits. Here's a floor mural that I worked on at John Reed. If y'all have ever been to the gym at John Reed, I helped work on the floor. And then an iteration of something I'll talk about in a little bit. So let's talk about thread. So quite literally, my work material is thread. Conceptually, my work all threads together. It all bleeds into one another and out of one another. And then my career. So I'll go over all these things now. Material. I use a lot of thread, as you saw in those earlier images, a lot of fiber, a lot of textile. I try to do as much multidisciplinary as possible and mixed media, just to not, with my ADHD, I try to mix it up. And obviously I have certain hyperfixations. Right now I'm really into ceramics, again, really random. But yeah, so this is just me working, throwing it back to college again. This is my senior thesis. It was all about body systems. Again, right back to the angsty, oh, poor me, I have a heart condition, bullshit. Here's a costume project that I worked on in school. And then when I moved to Dallas, it was really tricky because I was trying to find my way in Dallas, trying to find my way in DFW, trying to find community. So I was doing a lot of fashion shows in DFW early on, and this is a coffee shop that doesn't exist anymore, Oakland Coffee Shop. It was in my neighborhood. They were looking for artists to show work for a month or two, so I put some work out there. Here's another project I worked on, and this was the Pin Show. I'm not sure if any of y'all are familiar with the Pin Show. And then I found a group of people who, it was called Trade for Print on Facebook. I haven't been on Facebook in forever, but that's how I found a bunch of models, a bunch of photographers, people willing to trade for print. And so I was putting together photo shoots, creative directing, and whatnot, making clothes. So I made all these shirts and then we did a photo shoot. So going backwards to this from the Pin Show, this was seen by Imogen Heap. She's one of, I don't want to say my favorite artist, but she's one of those musicians that has been with me through my whole life. I've always reverted back to listening to her music, so it was just really cool to have my work shown in one of her concerts. And yeah, it was just a really proud moment that I feel like I would look back on as a child. I'm just been really happy to see. So again, moving along to stuff that I've done in Dallas. So this was another fashion show. And then this is a bigger piece that I worked on and presented in a gallery in Dallas in a group show. Here's a weaving. It's a weaving made with weave hair that I cut off my head. So there's a couple of references to hair here. in my work. My work always, the meaning of my work always goes back to the body and self and memory and experience in a non-narcissistic way. I promise. So yeah, this is another work I showed at Lost Gallery. Here's a work that I showed at 500X. Both of these sold. I will admit one of them was my mother, but I didn't make her pay me. She did buy me a couch because she felt bad. So then my work conceptually. So now if you can follow along with somebody with extreme ADHD, try your best to follow along. I'm gonna kind of similarly to the yarn being thrown around, I'm gonna kind of weave together how my projects kind of come together and weave in and out of one another. So this piece here is my very first, I consider it my first solo or my first show in Dallas, and I had to do it myself. I spent a long time trying to figure out how to get into the community in Dallas, trying to get in with the artists in Dallas, in with the galleries. It was so, I hate to say it was easy in Baltimore, but it's such a small community and everyone knows all the artists and everyone knows, oh, I'm represented by so-and-so, let me give you their email, and everybody's willing to share and like collaborate. And then moving to Dallas, not knowing anybody, it was partially that, but also partially I feel like it's like more vast in DFW and it's bigger and you have to drive farther and the communities are so niche. It's really hard to break in. And so I had a roommate move out, and in my condo I had to fix the floor. So I had everything moved like to the sides, and like it just looks like a gallery. So I held an open call for female sapphic presenting queer artists. And in my room, I moved everything to the side, put like a wall up. I think it was just a sheet, honestly. And I had a group show in my room, and then I took over the guest room and I did an installation. I actually wove this at my job at the time. We had a really giant floor loom. I hadn't had a floor loom yet. I didn't buy one at this point, so I used the one at work. This project saw many iterations. I installed it, reinstalled it, deinstalled it. It just has seen so many different iterations to the point that my pop-up was presented in D Magazine print edition. And it led to my first solo show in Texas. It took way too long to get here, if I'm being honest. I had several solo shows in Baltimore. I even showed in Milwaukee in high school, so it was really crazy to me to have my very first solo show be in 2022, a decade after being an artist. But you know, it is one thing that led to the next, that led to the next. And so with this solo show, I was able to create a new body of work. I really didn't want to create a new body of work because I didn't have space in my home. I didn't want to create work until I had somewhere to show it. So this gave me an opportunity to create new work. And then I'm going to back up really quickly. This led to Genesee and Sweet Tooth, actually. So Genesee read this article about me on a plane. I had emailed Sweet Tooth and never heard back. Then Genesee read this, and then I spoke with a friend who was in charge of helping curate the Sweet Tooth Intangible show, and she told me that they had a space that they didn't know what to do with and they'd be open. And so I reached out once more to Sweet Tooth, and that's when this project came. So this was my first project with Sweet Tooth. It was my first installation that actually had a budget. Until then, I was freeloading off myself. And so this was the first project that I had a budget for. The yarn was donated. I bought myself a floor loom, which was the biggest purchase I had ever made. It was $1,000. And it was the biggest art purchase I had ever made. And 100 of that went to someone helping me transport it from Denton to my home. And it was terrifying. This is the second iteration of Sweet Tooth, which was shown in that room over there. It's no longer there. And then these Sweet Tooth projects all led to this project, which was Art Tooth in Fort Worth. They have a shipping container south of Maine, and they give artists a stipend to put together work. So I was able to use my leftover Sweet Tooth yarn. I was able to use my loom that I had bought from Sweet Tooth to make all this work back here. This project led to my floor mural at John Reed, and then a grant. And for my grant, I proposed buying my own shipping container, and this was, it was 2021. I think I proposed it in 2020 when shipping containers were really affordable. And then I got the grant in 2021, and I got the shipping container right after everything doubled. So my grant actually it no longer fit within my budget. It no longer covered, I wouldn't have been able to do it. I would have had to put so much of my own money. It was just becoming a headache. I was getting complaints from neighbors. It was an eyesore. People were trying to sell their homes. Yes, I was that neighbor. All of that led to me reaching out. The stipulations of the grant were that I had to put together a public work of art in Austin. So with no connections in Austin, no friends, no nothing in Austin, I was just kind of shooting my shot in the dark. I landed upon Futurefront. They had a shipping container. They cleared out their headquarters, which was the shipping container, and they allowed me to show my work there. Now, it was also during Austin Studio Tour, so Big Medium is a gallery that throws on Austin Studio Tour. I was connected with them, and then this project actually led to several other things, which I'll touch upon in a second. But I wanted to jump backwards to this project really quickly, because this project led to a project in Telluride. And so I recycled the materials. Oopsies, I've moved too far. I recycled the materials and put together a weekend pop-up for a school doing a fundraiser in Telluride. It was the best experience that I've ever had in my life. Telluride's amazing, and everyone there is really fun. And so that, this work does get recycled once more, and I'll touch upon that in a second, but I'm going to jump backwards once more again. I hope you're still following me. This project, which was with Futurefront, I'm reminding you, it was with Futurefront, and it was at Big Medium's Austin Studio Tour, right? And so I sat in the lobby during presenting this. I sat at the Line Hotel. I had a free stay for putting this together, and they had a residency going on. Now, they had just opened their residency to non-Austin locals. So I sat there and I applied while I was showing this. Talked about my connection to Futurefront, talked about my connection to Big Medium, and I ended up getting the residency. And so that residency was in Austin, and that's presented here. I got to live and work in Austin for a little over a month, almost 2 months. And then that led to me getting a solo show at Big Medium and putting together this work. So this is the work from the shipping container, as you can see. And I will probably touch upon this at the end, but I'm also showing this work in Houston in January. So this work will be shown again in another iteration. And so now we can briefly talk about my career. Okay, cool. So this was my first job. I was a rug designer. I went to China. That's me in China. I was in India for this picture. I switched over to a different company, still doing rug design. I did rug design for about 6 years, a little over 6 years, and then I decided that, you know, I'm doing creative direction at home. I'm running events through an organization that I co-founded. I don't want to be a rug designer anymore. I don't want to be a designer being told how to design by people that don't design. It just felt really, honestly, asinine to be, you know, handing over really good designs and then throwing like one bad one in there and having them choose the bad one. You know? So I switched to my career. It was really difficult to switch into marketing, not having marketing experience on a resume, even though I was literally doing marketing for a decade. And so I took a step back. I worked in a nonprofit. I worked at My Possibilities. Here's me at work. And then I was giving presentations at the Nasher, ironically. I talk a lot with my hands. But here's me giving a couple different presentations at the Nasher, and that led to me actually getting a job at the Nasher. So I work at the Nasher now. I'm the marketing and digital engagement manager at the Nasher. I actually do a lot of creative direction with them. I just put together a photo shoot. There is somebody here that was there. And so yeah, like my work is now in, being seen through the Nasher. And so that leads me to discussing my other career, being a full-time artist when I'm not a full-time marketer. And so this is my first time at Art Basel. This is 2015. This was the very first show that I went to. My friend and I went to Satellite. It is a kind of Baltimore style warehouse pop-up, underground artist. It's a little bit anti-Basel. Art Basel is a art fair in Miami, for those that are unaware. It's really huge. They do it, I think they also do it in Switzerland and maybe China. There's a couple places that they do it. It's once a year. It's really huge. It's one of the biggest art fairs. So Satellite was the first fair that I went to, and I applied this year and I got accepted. So I will be showing the shipping container rainbow weaving textile work that I had just shown. It's too far back to go. But I will be showing that work at Art Basel at Satellite. And then because Satellite was really expensive, y'all, it was like my entire budget that I normally would spend on my flight, food, and stay, and tickets. So I was like, well, I might be sleeping on the beach, I never know. And then I had a friend reach out, and he has a hotel, and he does a art installation at this hotel. I've gone to it every year as well. It's called the Gathering Hotel. It's mostly for gay men, but it's a gay hotel. And so they do art gazel. I will probably be one of the only, if not the only, sapphic representation there. And so I've got my new work that I've been working on for that show. And then I was hoping I would have time to show y'all stuff that no one except for people that have been to my house have seen.
Cool.
Thank you. So for Art Gazel, what I've found is that the most compelling work is, these are hotel rooms, right? So there's a bed, there's a dresser, there's a phone, there's art on the walls, whatever, there's windows and curtains. I've found that oftentimes the most successful rooms take advantage of the fact that you are in a room and they don't try to ignore it. They don't just put the artwork on the wall, put the artwork on the bed. I find that the most successful installations are the ones that are in fact an installation and they don't ignore the bed, because you can't expect everyone to put on their blinders and not see that this is a room. So I'm trying to work within a new concept. And so my work is called, my project is called Still Fruity. It's about being queer in the South, but it's also about like still here, still queer, still fruity. So it's a play on language. So again, I'm like stumbling through this because it's very new. But still life is kind of the idea and the concept, and I'm using the room as a still life. So the bed is going to be the still life, and I'm making these large sculptures. So here's my cuties. So I'm doing a giant still life, and this is one of the many pieces that there will be, and you can see there's the giant orange slice. And then I'm making quilts for the bed, and so I'd like to see this work translate somewhere else, probably a gallery where I can build a bed and a kitchen, but for the sake of Art Gazel, I just have the bedroom. And so I'm mostly focusing right now on food in the bedroom, and then I'm going to be putting, eventually, if I can put together a solo, I'd like to make a kitchen and then put gay in the kitchen, and so kind of like swapping the things. Anyways, that's still be TBD. But I also brought these quilts that I've been working on. They're not done, they're very unfinished, as you can see. And so this is a diptych.
Yeah.
I think it goes this way, yeah. So this is a diptych. So it's two. So this is the gay one. And then this is the still life one. So that's the fruit. So it's like a picnic. And so these will be finished, obviously, but they're close. Probably got another day and a half on them. But yeah, so this is the new work that it's fresh off the sewing machine as of 7 a.m. But yeah, so I don't think I left any time for questions.
Oh, we got 5 minutes.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
So
let's go into it.
thank you, and here's my information. So,
Questions, y'all have to speak up a little. Okay, 5 minutes.
okay, cool.
Very quickly, for the quilted piece, I traditionally it's diptych or triptych. I think I heard diptych as a play on words, or did I mess that up?
No, but yes.
You just great concepts.
Wait,
It's it.
that's incredible. Oh my God. Hell yeah.
All right, any other?
Oh my God.
Molly, how do you stay inspired?
That's it.
Well, I hate to be a cliche, but it's literally just the ADHD. That's the magic sauce. I don't really have to stay inspired. I can go on a walk and my brain is just like firing on all signals. You know, my dog makes a weird noise. Someone has a question and I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. You know, like it's just kind of always, it's kind of annoying. I wish I could turn it off. But it's just one of those things where you either learn to tap in or tap out.
Well, regarding that, how do you recharge or unplug?
I don't.
Okay. All right.
I crash out and burn out, and not a lot of people see that. People close to me usually are the only ones that see that, and they're usually kind of like, well, you're kind of a terror. You're not as cool as I thought you were sometimes. But yeah, I think that's just, you know, for the sake of surrounding yourself with good people that kind of allow you to crash out and don't judge you for it and, you know, understand. But actually, I've recently been going through some other health condition stuff. I'm pretty sure I have a thyroid condition. And so it's just like the way to unplug and take a break is probably quite literally to try to just like figure out what's going on there, solve it, you know, take a break, take a shower, take a walk, stuff like that.
What's your favorite art piece that you've done or show that you show your art in?
It's tough to say, but I usually always say my new work. So I really think these ceramics are onto something. I haven't played with ceramics since high school. I did an entire portfolio of ceramics and then I just kind of ditched it, you know. And so right now I think my favorite pieces are these ceramics, and it's really interesting because this is an apple bomb. And like this is an ashtray, incense holder, and like these are things that I didn't really experience high school the way that I probably should have. I was so focused on trying to become a D1 athlete, and then I was so focused on health that like I didn't smoke, I didn't drink, I didn't party. And so like honestly, the gathering art gazel is really my first time exploring like memories that I feel like I missed and I feel like I should have had. And so it's really neat because I was also a full adult when I came into queerness. I don't really feel like I ever really got to experience like an adolescence of being gay because I'm bisexual, so I feel like I was always told, yeah, you like boys, girls are just pretty, you know. And so I feel like art gazel is really allowing me to tap into somewhere that I've never ever even thought to explore. So yeah, these ceramic pieces are pretty much they have my whole heart at this point.
One more, last one.
Yeah. Is there any collab that you have not done yet that you might want to do, like with a filmmaker or a musician, or just like any kind of creative collab that you haven't done yet that you think about?
I feel like I've been so focused on trying to, like I know I presented in my, how my career has kind of like one thing led to another and I'm finally where I should be. I think I haven't really had time to dream about a dream collab because I've been so focused on trying to become officially a creative director with my job and not just a marketer or just, you know, it's hard because I feel like I've been so steadfast on trying to become something that I already am, but professionally. And so, no, I don't have a dream collaborator, but I have a dream title that I will get at some point, somewhere. Someone's gonna be like, hey, I see that you're a creative director, will you come do that for us? So I think it's less about collaborations, because collaborations come and go. And I don't wanna like I'm happy to collaborate with somebody who just decided tomorrow they wanna be an artist. I'm just as happy to collaborate with someone like that as I am to collaborate with some big dream artist, you know? So yeah.
Thank you so much. Yes, go ahead.
I'm also from the Northeast, and so like I'm from New York, and so like being here for 3 years and trying to understand the culture of the city, I really learned before, so it's very different from Dallas. And you described the artist communities as being very niche. And so can you please explain what those categories are? And because you talked about it being kind of difficult to access just based on
For sure.
your style or having.
Yeah, so when I first moved here, everybody was like, oh, you're a textile artist. And I was applying for murals. And I'm a painter. I grew up painting. You saw the paintings that I did in high school. And I was like, well, I can also paint. And they're like, well, you're a textile artist. You're a rock designer. And then, so everything is like, well, you're not this, you're that. Well, you're not this, you're that. Well, and then I was trying to go from textiles to installations. They were like, well, you're not a sculptor, you're not an installation artist, you're a textile designer, or you're a muralist. So it was very siloed. And it was just like, well, what do you mean? Like, I can do all these things, I'm just, you know, I also need to be given the opportunity, right? So I feel like we do, if one day, you know, for example, I've got a friend here who, his daughter modeled for the Nasher. And it was her first photo shoot, and I had no idea. But can you imagine being like, oh, she's never done it before, I don't want her. Like, that's kind of how that's how it has felt in Dallas. Now, that's not to say that it's like that here, but that's just kind of more or less what I've experienced. And over the course of a decade, it's taken a long time to kind of tap into these. And it is small in the same sense. Like, I met Jency, and then Jency introduced me to someone else, who introduced me to someone else, who introduced me to someone else. And, you know, I just talked to somebody here that knows my friend Jeremy and Sam. And, like, I feel like everybody knows each other, but at the same time, it's really hard to, like, get that first person that you meet to bring you in and scoop you up and kind of take you along the journey to Dallas. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.